Prometheus, the star, Ridley Scott 2012 Prometheus, what I talk about. And it's religious themes, it's religious ideas, and it's, psychological understanding of the concept of God and what we do with that concept, has been neatly transported into a science fiction film. Of course, Guy Pearce is Peter Wayland. He's the big bad billionaire who sends a crew of space sailors to track a signal. And there they're supposed to encounter these giant white creatures who may have created us, but seem to unleash death in the form of the alien. And that's something that permeates the whole film. Elizabeth Shaw, played by Naomi Rapace, she's quite self-reflective. She wants to look inward. She wants to know about her grief. She wants to know about her pain. And the death of a loved one is the most essential and natural grief that we experience. It steers us along into death or the afterlife. Whereas Peter Wayland, Guy Pearce, he wants to live forever. And they're the two questions that are posed by human beings when confronting the afterlife. Is there an afterlife, and what have I done and what have I done wrong? And is there forgiveness in it? And it permeates the whole film, and it's all peppered by the, irreverence of Michael Fassbender's android, who epitomizes the anti-human, a young person, he's living free, and he's carefree, and he's emulating movie stars, and he's listening to music, and he's cycling a bike and dunking a basketball, because young people aren't going to die, or so they think. You know what I mean? The perception of mortality has not yet groomed upon them. Structurally, it's a little wobbly because he has this gigantic team, and he has the plot of the alien, and of course he has to pepper out the aliens. One of the sequences that was much maligned by Tarantino was the one where the space travelers are in the tomb or the tunnels, and the snake-like creature pops out of one of the canisters, and he waves for it. He was a little harsh in that, why would you do it? But, a person who's travelled halfway across the galaxy, committed his whole life to science, they would reach out with curiosity. I mean, Elon Musk is trying to go to Mars. I mean, these kind of people are nuts. They're not going to be afraid of what's there after travelling all the way. It'd be like getting a plane to the bottom of South Africa and then, oh no, I don't want to see a tiger or a lion. Backing out of the wildlife drive. So, the attraction to that is irresistible. And that scene in and of itself is kind of a metaphor for the, daft, nonsensical drive we have towards, be it the afterlife, our concern for death, our value in the face of death. If you're not religious, it's like, if I'm going to die, what am I? Or what have I been? And that's there. I mean, it looks absolutely spectacular. I remember seeing it in the cinema, and it's just awe-inspiring. And I think this one, an Alien Covenant, will catch on, and they will consider a third one. Although, I don't know if there'll be any point. I mean, if somebody could take the kind of richness or the feet, it's just a feeling. The music conveys that kind of spiritualism that cinema used to convey, that complete relaxation of transcending to somewhere else, of surrendering to another character and his ideals. It's something very traditional. Of course, Ridley Scott was really old, and it's something he would be considering. I mean, Charlize Theron, Idris Elba, Michael Fassbender, Naomi Rapace, it's spectacular to look at. It's just people couldn't make sense of what they were doing. And it's not like a traditional sense where you've got a really thin and focused plot like a Christopher Nolan film, or a strong counter-argument or argument. Ridley Scott kind of sprays his films at us sometimes. And they're built with, visual curiosities. And you've got dynamic space travel, yet soothing waterfalls. These mixture of earthly emotions that cascade through us. And there's a lot, you could take the film as a series of paintings and put it in as an exhibition with the theme of, how do you feel about meeting God? And the whole film would make more sense. And if you watch it carefully, those ideas are there, and it does allow you to fixate on them the second time around. And of course, they're there layered in the plot as well. So this is something I'd love people to kind of get back to me on if they've seen anything similar or what they thought about it watching Alien Covenant. All right, like and subscribe. Speak to you soon.